So we can say that you got that for free, but you didn't even get that. You just got me my lips moving. So sorry about the tech difficulties. That's why I talked about something else. It wasn't even what you want to know today, right? So let's go back. Thank you for telling me, Facebook user, that yes, I'm so pleased. Thank you so much for letting me know that. It didn't pull through who you are into my system, but I appreciate you. So thank you. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the different types of procrastination and what that feels like, right? So first, there are kind of three types of procrastinations, right? One is a kind of a problem solver procrastinator, right? You always feel like you're working out a problem. You just gotta figure it out. I just gotta figure it out. You say things like that. I just gotta figure it out, right? You get in your hammock or you go, I'm just gonna go take a nap. I gotta figure it out. I'm gonna sit over here and think about, oh, maybe I should research about it some more, right? This is procrastination in other clothing. So this is really important to perk your ears up. If that's you, perk your ears up, right? Then we have a rhythm seeker, right? So the rhythm seeker procrastinator, that's somebody who's like, no, I like my life slow, right? We've all done it, right? And it's good to do it for vacation, right? And it's even good to do it for extended periods of time during large transitions. You're going through a divorce, you should be at a different pace. You're going through a career change, it's okay to be at a different pace. That's all good. It's all part of the process. There's a lot of stuff that goes on inside our bodies that involves pivoting and changing direction and being able to accept new things and get into resonance and things that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, right? But if you are stuck in that space, right, then it's like driving behind a hay truck. You keep going slow. You keep forcing yourself to go slow. You keep forcing yourself to go slow every day. And then you say to yourself, I don't know why I don't ever get anywhere. And you start beating yourself up with that, right? So that's the rhythm seeker procrastinator, right? And then the third type we're going to talk about today is just the too busy to do it. Oh, too busy. Sorry, can't do it. Too busy, too busy, too busy. And in fact, what's interesting about the too busy to do it procrastinator is that they are busy and they're generally exhausted, right? At the end of the day, you're like, I can't do another thing. I'm just going to have to file that stuff later. I can't get to it. Nope, can't do it, right? And that has to do with coherence, right? That has to do with allowing ourselves to get into a certain state and then perpetuating that state over and over and over again. So, thank you, Kathy. Oh, I'm so glad to see Timothy. That is wonderful. Thank you so much. Glad you guys are here live. I'm sure there's more of you out there, and I would love to hear from you. The whole thing I gave this whole speech at the very beginning. I know I'm interrupting it. Don't worry about it. At least you can hear it this time. And it was about putting your links inside this stream, right? Feel free to tell me what you do and to put the dang link in there, because I was talking about how in the furniture industry, when you're trying to choose a location for where to put your next store, if you go and you find a spot that's away from everybody and you're the only one doing that thing in that one place, you will die, right? But if you go where 3 other stores are, you will survive, you will thrive. And so that's part of why we got to put our information out there. It's okay that it's real similar to somebody else's. Their customers are probably not your customers, even if you're selling the exact same item. Okay, so put it in there. Hi, Philippa, so great to see you. Thanks for coming. Wonderful. So let's get back to the I gotta, you know how it is. You gotta check those comments every once in a while. So Really focus here. Really bring yourself in because we're going to go through. I don't give such a huge training on this particular live stream. And that is because it's a short live stream. It's hard to do a lot in a small amount of time, but we're going to try today. We're going to go through a very sort of framework, a very high level overview, right? So we're flying over in our little plane and we're getting the framework together for how do you do it the easiest way possible to deal with your procrastination. So if you are in there going, yep, that's good, then I want you to train your brain, right? This is I talk about this all the time. It's probably not new to you. If you've ever heard me talk before, your brain needs to be trained. And today we're even going to talk about the little brain that needs to be trained, right? So say yes, write yes in the chat, right? Write it in the chat for me, okay? So, lots of you know me, but if you do not know me, if you're new to me, I am Donalyn Riley, and I'm so glad to be here. I am a business mindset expert. I am trained as a spiritual health coach and have had the privilege of leading a multi-million-dollar corporation. So I also got to practice those two things at the same time. So bringing all of that mindset and spiritual work into a non-spiritual environment, right? A business environment, really, really magical. So if you can reach out for just a few personal development tools, the kinds of things that I'm talking about, then you'll be able to make giant shifts, as I saw with the people who worked in that corporation and of course with my clients since then. So let's start. First, let's get with it. I want you to know the textbook definition of procrastination. You ready? Procrastination is the act of delaying or putting off tasks until the last minute, past their deadline. Now, I want you to know that I did not see anywhere in there were no words that said, not worthy, you're a loser, you really should do it faster, you can't be consistent no matter what. There was no judgment in that. It's simply delaying or putting off tasks until they're past their due date or up to their due date, right? So this is really important because as we talk about it, we're going to start to understand that it may not be a detriment, right? So what it looks like to other people, right? When you think, oh, I'm a procrastinator, or I procrastinated on that thing, you think that other people are looking at you and saying, you are lazy, you are undisciplined, you are a loser, right? You're irresponsible. All of the labels that we give ourselves from in here, by the way, not from out there, right? And then we pile it on. So from inside, it feels like guilt, right? Feels like worry because we're not safe with ourselves, right? Feels like anxiety. And sometimes you can feel really lost. Like, I don't know how to navigate this world. I don't know how to make myself do the things that other people do, right? You can feel overwhelmed by that. You can even get angry at yourself, angry at other people, angry at the system. So it can manifest in your body so many different ways. But the bottom line is, if you're in those feelings, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? So let's talk about what procrastination is really. What is it really, right? It's really an amazing system that is built into your brain and your body in order to help you navigate time and space. So it, in particular, helps you navigate time, right? And it helps you navigate time in a way that you get to where you want to go without distraction, without diversion, without disaster. That's what it's built to do. It's in you on purpose, right? It's built in so that you don't get run over by cars, so that you have good timing, right? And then we bring it into these business settings and we're like, this is inconvenient. I do not like it, right? But in fact, it's a really good guidance system. It's an excellent piece of guidance that you're getting from your body, right? So it can really be your friend, right? Because you can find out, am I in alignment with where I want to go? And we're going to go through that in a little bit, right? And you can use it as leverage. It can be your leverage to get you from where you are to where you want to go. Now, people hear the word leverage and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you talking about leverage? It's procrastination. It's terrible. It's bad. What are you talking about? Right? But how you use procrastination as leverage, why it classifies as leverage, is because sometimes it puts you into a space of good timing, really good timing. So you've experienced this where you go through a whole day, you're in a kind of a crappy mood, you're procrastinating, you don't feel like doing something, you feel terrible about yourself, you make the phone calls anyway, and nothing goes right. And then you come in the next day and you're still procrastinating, but you're in a better place. You're still procrastinating. You still don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. And you wait. And halfway through the afternoon, you go, oh, I think I should call so and so. And you pick up the phone and they're ready for you. They lit up. They're like, oh, I'm so glad you called. I've been thinking about wanting your product or services. I am so glad you called. This is the kind of leverage that you have when you reframe your procrastination from a problem that you will beat yourself up over into a piece of information that is incredibly important to you, right? So the real problem that you're facing is that there's not resonance in your brain and in your you know what, hang on one second, I got somebody knocking on the door, they cannot wait to come in. We're going to go over here and we're going to let them in so they can see the live stream. Are you guys all with me? It'll be like, we'll be like a little posse so we can get it done, get it done, get it done. Okay, so let's see if we can. That's good. Let's try to do like easy tasks while we're talking about procrastination. Do you feel like I'm procrastinating with you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? So what I am going to tell them is I am going to actually respond because they're just dying to get in here. Um, okay. Thank you for wanting to come in. I love that. It makes me very happy. So, sometimes we're procrastinating because we have limiting beliefs, right? Because the outcome is not something that we believe that we deserve or that we can have. Our self-esteem gets in the way. Our sense of power, personal power, gets in the way. We get worried about things that are gunked up from our past, right? I actually know of a person who, actually a young man who was about 20 when he was in a car accident with his parents, and he lived and they died. And he always felt guilty about it, right? And he inherited many, many, many millions. And he was young, so he gave the millions to a money manager, and as time went on, the money manager lost more and more and more of the money until there was very little money left. And so there was only about $1,000 left. And finally, because the rest of his life wasn't really working out that good either, he got the help that he needed, and he was able to face himself and understand what was really the problem at the core of it, in what we call the little brain, right? In your heart and your mind, and how they work together. And then he was able to change his future. But until then, it was dirty money, right? It was dirty money. So we all have little things like that. That is such a drastic example, but we all have small things even that will get in the way, that will keep us from receiving in the way that we want to receive in a conscious way, right? So being in total alignment with the outcome is a key right? So you got to know, am I? Do I want to go there or do I not want to go there? And I don't mean the outcome of the task that you're procrastinating on. I mean the big goal, right? So let's do a little assessment. The first thing I want you to ask yourself, if you think of something you're procrastinating on right now, I want you to ask yourself, am I willing to do it soon? Do I feel like it's going to be soon, nowish, right? In the next few days? Or do I feel like, that's A, B, or do I feel like it's gonna be a while? I really don't want to do it. So it's probably going to be a while, right? Later. Put that in the later category. But I can imagine that I would do it later. Or there's a third category. And of course, that's the never category, right? The never category is like, usually you're thinking thoughts like, I don't know why there aren't just elves or angels or something that come along and do things in the night when I'm not here. Why don't I have that person that just does that? I should hire someone to do it. I don't even want to hire someone to do it. It should magically happen, right? So when you're in those places, know, am I in nowish? Am I in later? Or am I never? Never. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. The fairies can do it for me. I'm not doing it, right? Now you've got a category you're in. The second piece of that puzzle is to take the next piece of assessment. And that is, what will happen if I never get it done? So this is really about consequences, right? Because sometimes there are things like, I don't want to file the papers, right? I don't want to file. I don't want to put the papers in the file. And if I ask myself on that particular pile of paper, what will happen if I never get it done? And it's not important paper and I'm not required by law to keep it, then nothing bad will happen. Nothing bad will happen. So that's really important information. But if it's my client files and I will be disorganized when I speak to my clients and I won't be able to keep myself centered and present so that I'm here with you so that I can be of use in the world, then that's a really big problem, right? That has a different outcome. So know what that outcome is, okay? And the second thing you want to ask yourself is, what is the outcome I'm reaching for? So am I trying to increase my income? Am I trying to, with this action, get more clients? Am I trying to become more clear about what I sell and how I sell it and how it's useful to other people? Am I trying to jump through some hoops that I think are kind of stupid? Right? So know what the outcome is, so that when you get to that part that I just said about how I think that the hoops are kind of dumb and I don't feel like doing it, you can recategorize that as a how that doesn't need to be dealt with right now, right? You want to know the big picture overview. What am I shooting for, right? And then how would I achieve it? How would I achieve it if I didn't know better? If I didn't know that I had to jump through those hoops that I don't like, you'd get creative, right? You'd start from the beginning. You'd say, I'm looking for new clients. And I tried these other things and I didn't like it. Maybe I'm going to try something else. You would get creative. So get into that creative space. So this is, I'm going to get a little bit into the brain work here. Okay. Let me know if you're with me on this, right? Just put a yes in the chat so that I know that it's okay for us to get a little more detailed, right? Because we're going to talk about this lovely space suit that we live in. I love to call it a space suit or a time machine because to me, it feels like that, right? It feels like this is the way in which I get to go through the world. I get to pick myself up and move through space, even if it is a little less than it was a year ago. And I get to go through time. I am not the same as I was 10 years ago, and I will not be the same in 10 years from now. So that is a time machine. So I love thinking about that. It kind of shifts the way that you see yourself, right? because sometimes we can pile it on and not really mean to, but we end up going through next year the same way we went through last year. And that is not what we're meant to do. Okay, so I see that you guys are ready. You've said yes, yes, yes. So how it works in the brain, okay, is when you have a new thought, it's like a dirt bike path, right? The neurons are trying to connect and it's really hard for them to do that. And so they're kind of going slow. It's like a jaggedy old dirt bike path. And then you say, okay, I'll do it again. I'll have that same thought again tomorrow, and the same thought again in an hour, and the same thought again in a minute, and the same thought again, same thought again, same thought again. And as you practice that thought, those neuronal paths get worn down, or get worn in, I should say, and become smoother, right? So over time, it turns into that superhighway. So that stuff that your parents used to say when you were 3 and 5 and 10, that's on the superhighway, right? So you want to put your new thoughts on that same superhighway so that it can kind of override what's there, right? And secondly, we want to talk about the heart. So the heart actually has 40,000 neurons that are very much like the neurons that are in your brain. They're a little network of neurons that work similarly to how the brain works. So this is why I called it, many people call it, the little brain, right? So the trick here is that we spend our whole lives training this. We train our brains to work like a superhighway, right? We train ourselves to go fast, to know math, to know languages, to understand logic. We've got all of this stuff worked out. We've spent many, many years in school and in life experience thinking and getting those pathways together. But we spend very little time focused on the neurons in the heart, right? Training those neurons to work in concert with what's going on in the brain. And that is the first piece of what you've got to do in order to work your way away from procrastination. Now, I know that a lot of times when people say you're going to find out the easy way to stop procrastinating, what you expect to see is a list of 5 things. When you feel like procrastinating, you should go for a walk and then come back, right? Okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with those articles. They're kind of good, right? There are little tips and tricks, but what they're trying to get your body to do, all those little tips and tricks that may or may not work for you, is what I'm talking about. They're trying to get your heart and your brain working in concert with one another, working as one system, having coherence and resonance so that the right chemicals get released into the body, so that when you feel like, yeah, I think I want to go in that direction, you can have a complementary thought that feels good to you, that is a way to get there, right? So I'm going to really quickly, I usually like to wrap these up in about a half an hour, but I'm going to walk through it really fast. It's only 6 steps in the system. Well, except for that part that has 5 steps to it. Tell me if this is landing for you guys. Are you guys with me? Do you feel like, yes, I got to get back to my body, right? I got to get back to my brain. I got to get back to working this thing. So let me know if that lands with you. Just put in yes, or actually put in yes, it's true, because then, this is cool. Then the little gauntlet that's in your brain that sorts things into belief and disbelief, right? There's this little gauntlet that says, when you have a thought, it says, wait a minute, do you believe that? And if you don't believe it, it doesn't make it to the creative centers of your brain. It doesn't make it to the creation centers of your brain. So you can't actually go in that direction. And you've seen that happen for people, right? You've seen that happen where people say, no, I believe that. And then you watch them do actions that have nothing to do with the thing they just said. They're the opposite. And so you say, how could you believe that and still be doing that, right? How is that possible? That's how it's possible. It's possible because it doesn't actually make it into the power seat. So they're just sitting in the back seat yammering at you about how to drive, even though they're not in the power seat. They can't change the direction of your life, right? That thought, whether it's good or bad, it doesn't have any power. So if you don't believe it, it stays back here. If you believe it, it's all the way up here, right? And it's grabbing the wheel. So you got to be careful about what you believe, right? Okay. So let's go back to the system. First, become present. Become present and become coherent. So I'm going to give you a trick. I'm going to give you a little trick. We're going to do it. I'm not going to actually do it with you because we're a little short on time here. So what we're going to do is I want you to write it down. Okay. You're going to breathe a couple of times so you can come in, right? Because sometimes we're off in our brains doing other things. So bring yourself back to this moment, right? Take 2 or 3 breaths. And then I want you to take your arms and cross them over one another like this so that your hands are interlaced. And then bend your elbows and fold them in, kind of like that old thing we used to do with the see the steeple and all that kind of thing, right? When we were little kids. And I want you to press against your sternum. Press your knuckles against your sternum. And from this position, breathe 10 deep, relaxing, easy breaths all the way in, all the way out. 10 deep, equal breaths. It's very relaxing to do this, right? And then you're going to unfold your hands and you're going to relax. Now you got a little bit longer to do something. Next, you're going to become aware. Now, how you're going to do that is to close your eyes right after you did that. Close your eyes and spend 2 minutes noticing what happens. Just close your eyes and become aware of your body. A minute, 2 minutes, plenty of time, okay? Become aware of your present moment because that's what you have to do. You have to become present. This is what we did when we folded our arms up and did our breathing and did all that stuff. What we did was create harmony, resonance between the brain and the heart. Right? So then after that, open your eyes and you're going to learn yes and no. And there are so many ways that we learn neural amplification. There are really effective techniques that I teach when I'm working with people one-on-one or in groups, but I gotta say they're not quick, right? So I'm gonna give you a little quick tip on how to do it. Just while we're sitting here right now, I want you to think the word yes and notice what's happening in your body. And then think the word no and notice what's happening in your body, right? Something very different happens in your body. Hello, Lindsay. So glad to see you. So good. Really wonderful. Something really different happens when you do yes or you do no. So knowing those differences is really important for the next piece of the puzzle, right? So now I want you to bring in the topic. That's step 4. Bring in your topic. And I want you to find a little bit of yes. So usually you do that in a very general way. So if, for instance, the topic is I just refuse to make my sales calls to people, then you might bring in the topic of knowing that you want to make more money, right? That people make a living doing what I want to be doing. And I know that I can also move in the direction of that and find yes and find no, right? And as you're doing this self-talk with yourself, keep moving toward the yeses, right? Keep following that yes. Follow that yes until it's yes, and then until it's yeah, and then until it's yeah, and then until it feels like, oh yeah, this is good, and then all the way to heck yeah. Yeah, I got this. This is happening. I am doing it. And you may have no actual action steps in your mind yet, okay? But just how you feel about the thoughts, okay? Follow those yeses and see what happens because you're building the neural pathways. You're building them and you're reiterating them and you're forging them with your little dirt bike, right? And then the next time you go, it gets a little flatter. And the next time you go, it gets a little flatter. And then you realize it's wide enough, you could bring your little dune buggy on it. And then you do that for a while, right? And that's part of that. So what was in the way with the procrastination, narrowing those pathways, maybe even just over there on the super highway of bad things I've thought about myself 1,000 times, can't get in your way, right? Can't get in your way. And the very last part of this system is to just do the steep method. So I have a video available. It's not very much, it's a few dollars, I think. So if anybody wants it, feel free to reach out to me. And it's called the steep method, conquering procrastination with the steep method. And I am like steeping, like tea. And I am going to go over that with you now because, in fact, you are doing it in this system. You got quiet. You got in resonance with yourself. You became aware of yourself, so aware of yourself that you could steer the boat in the direction you want to go, right? And then you said, what is the overall plan? Oh, the land I want to go to is over there. I'm going to steer the boat over there. Oh, big rock in the bottom of the ocean. I got to move around that. Okay. Got an iceberg over there. Okay. We're going to go around that. Yes. You're going to have triggers. You're going to have banged up thinking, right? Because we all get banged up in life, right? Nobody goes through without a ding. Nobody, right? My dad used to say it's a one-way ticket, but nobody gets out unscathed, right? If you lived for a little while. So know that they're going to be boulders in the way. It's okay. It's all right. Go back to yes, go back to yes. And you will find that little crack of least resistance. And like a tea bag, right? You put it in the hot water. And if you don't do this long enough on a topic, you end up with weak tea. You end up with not enough to stand up to the dinging of reality, right? Because reality is tough. People see you in certain ways. You see yourself in certain ways. You have bills. You need to do the certain things in life. There's a lot of taking out the garbage, right? There just is, right? But if you let that tea steep, you go back to those yeses, you find that momentum within you. You may find an entirely new way to get from where you are to where you're going. There may not be any paper files anymore, right? We were talking about that earlier, right? If I have some files that are crucial that I've got to file and I just procrastinate. Once you open up those creative centers of your mind the way that we did, then you're able to come to a different answer about, you know, I am a big fan, I'm interrupting myself, but I am a big fan of reminding you that if there are in your mind two choices and one is crappy and the other one is crappier, then it is time for you to get into that creative center of your brain because there is a third choice. There is a third choice, but you can't see it right now. So that's that system. Go back to the beginning of the system. Keep resetting, right? If you get to a place where it's no, fine. Go back to the beginning. Get your arms crossed. Get your breathing going. Engage your sternum so that you are getting resonance. And when you do that, and you go all the way through to get the momentum on what feels right to you, then you will get to the end point that you want to get to, even if you don't ever file another thing again, right? Because maybe it's electronic now and you don't have to or something. Okay, so if you guys have questions about this, it is definitely time for you to start talking to me about that. Okay, and I'm not going to go over the recap because I think you know it. I think you know it. I think you can get this. And if you can't get this, you just reach out to me, right? Remember to say yes when somebody says, are you getting it? If you're feeling yes, then say it out loud and type it in the chat and get engaged, get your body in on the action, right? Because what happens when you break those chains of those little procrastinations of your life is that like my client Vicky, you're able to become more creative, right? Your business is more enjoyable, less stress. She even found more confidence, right? Or like Susan, she said it's no longer feels overwhelming to be consistent because she stopped procrastinating, right? Because she found the way to move forward that matches her, that feels good to her, and gets to the goal, right? She said it doesn't have to feel like I'm being trapped or like she's chasing perfection, right? Or Tony, one of my faves, my favorite quotes, in fact, procrastinating was all small things, right? Around sales calls, right? So she was doing them, but she was doing just as much as she could do, right? Just that way that we do things crappily. We do it really badly when we don't want to do it. And so it's like half procrastinating. It's not procrastinating so that you can tick it off of the list, but it's procrastinating enough that it is wasted action. It gets you nowhere. There's no power in it, right? And so what did she say about that? She wasn't doing the extra follow-up. She wasn't doing the reaching out, right? One more time. Reach out one more time. Reaching out one more time, right? You guys have all had these problems organizing your contact list so that you're not distracted. These are all the types of things that shifted. And what happened? She said she made more sales than she thought was possible, and that each sale was bigger than she thought it would be. So this is the power of when you say yes to it, right? This is the power of when you do this little system that I just gave you for free, right? So use it, tap into it, go over the recording a few times, and really change your life, right? Really do it. So when you ask yourself, can I do it? You know that the answer is yes, because it's already happened for other people. They've already gotten there. They got a little more guidance than you're getting, right? Because they were working with me directly. But still, this is the framework that they used and that you can use, okay? So I do have some free things for you. So if you want, you can go to my website and get them. And actually, because I did not prepare the little linksy doodle here in advance, I'm going to get it for you. Oh, you know what I have? You find all sorts of trainings and things like that. I also have on the general website, I also have a Monday. On Mondays, we're getting together and we're learning to affirm better. We're learning to find that yes together. So you got to come to that. That is a blast. So sign up for that on my website. It is DonnellyandRiley.com. And you'll find it all there. Also, if you want to go directly to that page, then you will find it at DonnellyandRiley.com/affirm better. Okay. But the link I'm going to put in the chat. Oh, I almost put it in the wrong chat. The link I'm going to put in the chat when I can get on the right platform is /coach, DonnellyandRiley.com/coach. And the reason I'm using that link for you is because it is literally a free one-on-one time with me. Okay. So it is the most powerful thing that you can possibly do. If you're stuck, if you are in procrastination, if it's hard for you to try new things on your own, if you feel like you need the guidance, if you have a little issue with confidence, if you're wanting to move forward and you don't know what the issues are, but you know that you keep trying and you keep not getting there, then it's time. Okay. So go to DonnellyandRiley.com. Maybe it'll work if I just put it in here. We'll see. DonnellyandRiley.com. Donna Lynn Riley. The thing, you know, it mashes it all together and calls it one little word that is not the name of my name. And make sure that you get in that breakthrough session. Okay. It's so good to be here with you guys. I'm glad to be here today with you. You gotta come to the Monday thing, man. It's so much fun. We have a blast. Okay? I'll see you soon. All right. Bye.